Hello, welcome to this segment of Fearless Aging. And the title of this segment is Muscle Changes Everything as We Age. As I like to say, it's use it or lose it. And I'm real excited about today's show because we have a great expert guest. Her name is JJ Virgin. She's a revolutionary health leader. She's a triple board certified nutritional expert, fitness hall of famer, and a passionate advocate for the healing power of food and exercise. And she's on a mission to redefine aging, not as something to endure, but as a stage of life to own strength, vitality, and purpose. And amen to that. JJ, so nice to see you. And so thanks for being here.
Yeah, good to be back.
Yeah. Well, I like to start by, you and I have been
Mm.
in this health and fitness industry for a long, long time. Uh, when did you first start?
Uh, Actually, I started teaching calisthenics in high school
Oh,
and then went to UCLA on a theater scholarship, and I started teaching aerobics, and then someone asked me to come to their house, and that's when I started personal training,
yeah.
and so it really has been, 40 years now.
Yeah, same for me. I started in
Mm,
1982. Yeah, so we got over 80. You and I could talk for hours
mm.
on the subject, all the things we've experienced and learned. But we've only got about 20 minutes, so I really want to get into it. So, uh, well, first question I want to ask you is, as you know, we've evolved so much in science and what we learn about what the body requires to function optimally in both nutrition and exercise and sleep and all those things. But yet we're still one of the most unhealthiest countries in the world. We're the fattest country. We have a very short life expectancy compared to a lot of the major industrial nations. So why do you think this is?
Ah, I think it's a whole bunch of things all merging together as a problem. It's everything from the ultra processed food to our sedentary behavior. I mean, I just think back to whenever I go to Europe. You walk everywhere, the food is fresh, that you don't have all the toxic exposure. So you look at it and go, we just have a whacked lifestyle here. And you take time to eat, you eat with friends. So you look at it and go, too much stress, too much work,
Yeah,
too many toxins,
yeah,
especially in our food. And I think that in a lot of ways, the way that we've built our medical system has basically created more of a crutch for us. Like you look at how we take care of our cars or our pets, where you do prevention and you take care of them because it's too costly not to. Yet our health system's designed for just the opposite. So I just think we've really gotten so far away from the way we're supposed to live and
yeah.
be, and we're reaping the effects of that.
Yeah, no question about it. But again, so my question is though, but there's so much information out these days, and just like you and I are getting out and all. I mean, the information is out there. I don't think there's still that many people who don't know that they need
Right.
to exercise. So what do we need to do to better
It was
educate people?
overwhelming. I think it's
Overwhelmed.
overwhelming. I'm a simplifier by nature. I took this assessment and it was like all the different types of things you could be, and I'm a simplifier. I'm like, I could have told you that without the test.
Yeah.
Is when you look at all this stuff and you go, "Oh my gosh, okay, so it's the environment, it's the this," it's like then you're like, you just freeze because there's too much to do. But if you just went, "Okay, what's one thing you could just start with?"
Mhm.
And if the one thing you could start with was, I always like to start with changing what's at the end of your fork because I know that you'll
Yeah.
feel better fast by doing that piece. So if all you focused on one thing was like, okay, let's add, I love the idea of adding before you take away. So why don't we just add some clean protein because I know that'll make you eat less and crave less. And once we have that dialed in, maybe we could just start to get you to move more.
Mhm.
And what you measure and monitor, you improve. So could we just start tracking how many steps you take? I've gotten very focused on tracking my steps and making sure that no matter what, and this is a big deal right now, Rico, because I have a broken foot. So
Mm.
literally, I was doing 12,000 steps a day. Then the broken foot thing, which is an old injury, started really bugging me. And I was like, okay, I'm going to make sure I get at least 8,000. But I mean, if I can do that with gimping around with a broken foot,
Yeah.
it's like we can do this. Right. So once you get that under your belt, maybe we can just get that sleep dialed in. Right. So just one thing at a time. might take you a week to get that in place. It might take you 6 months. It doesn't matter as long as you're making progress, because the body, thank God, is resilient and can heal if you
Yeah.
give it the right input, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so I think it's just about, I mean, we all have everything that we do is habits. It just begin to establish some simple, like you say, simple, basic habits that we know will make a difference. And isn't that the good news in all the things that we teach? Uh, if you do
Yeah.
them, you can't fail. You're going to get the results, right?
But here's the thing, and this is the difference. You have to actually do them.
Yeah, yeah,
And I
yeah.
think
You got to do it.
the frame really needs to be this, and I like the way uh, Andrew Huberman talks about it on his podcast, is like, do hard things. The reason I love resistance training so much is because it shows you that you can do hard stuff.
Hmm.
And the challenge with all of these things we're talking about is you have to do the things. And I think for some reason we've gotten kind of like, you know, so pick one thing until it doesn't become hard anymore, then do the next hard thing and just keep looking for the next hard thing to do. And that's how you will grow and progress at any age, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's so good. I mean, I think the message there is, even though it seems hard at first, but once you get into it, it gets much easier, and then you'll say, yeah, that wasn't so bad after all, was
Right. Then you got to go find another
it?
hard thing.
And find another hard thing. Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about as far as aging goes here. You know, you talk about aging powerfully, and I talk about ageless living, which is the same thing. So, what does that look for you? What do you think that looks for people in real life for somebody in 50s, 60s, 70s, even 80s?
I wanted to give it that term because there's so much conversation out there about aging gracefully, and that just
Yeah,
sounds like a slow, steady decline.
I agree.
You know?
I don't like that term
Right?
either.
Right? And it's like, and also it sounds like things like behave yourself. And I'm like, okay, you know what?
Yeah.
Like at this point, I'm going to do the things I want to do. I'm going to ask for forgiveness, not permission, and like, let's go. And aging powerfully means like we've worked so hard to get to this point, and there's now I just feel like I'm just waking up to all of the things that I want to accomplish and do, and I don't want anything to hold me back. So what is it,
Exactly.
what do I need to do to make sure that I can be doing the hiking I like to do and doing the
Exactly.
traveling I like to do and working the way I want to work in my 70s, 80s, 90s, right? For me, it is not this whole thing with all these people living to 150 or whatever ridiculousness they're out there
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah.
That is not it. It is like being able to do what I want to do every day with the people I want to do it with and making the impact I want to make. That's it.
Yeah, it's creating a good health span. Lifespan, who knows how long we're going to live, but we want to be healthy and energetic as long as we're here. I totally agree with you, and uh, it's just about doing whatever you need to do to take care of your body so you can enjoy your life and make a positive difference in the world. We need more people as they age to use their knowledge and wisdom, to give back to our community and to be mentors for younger people. Don't
Well,
you
that's a
think?
whole other thing that we suck at in the United States.
Yeah,
No, but
yeah,
seriously, like I have a couple mentors who are 10 years older than me. I seek
yeah.
out people who are older than me, but it's like I have one friend who is amazing human being who feels just like he's not even relevant anymore.
Yeah.
And like started one of the biggest companies out there, has so much knowledge, no one's tapping. I'm like, this is ridiculous. It's like,
Yeah. Well, the question I have here too, both you and I have worked with elite athletes and everyday moms and all that. So what are the common patterns you see that people who are aging powerfully and living life to the fullest?
they are prioritizing all the things that we've been talking about, like as the most important thing. They are not, staying out late partying and eating a bunch of garbage and skipping their workouts. Like, and I think of any of those things, and it makes my heart sing to say this because it's my whole background is in exercise science. But
Hmm.
when you look at any of this stuff, exercise to me is the single most important thing. And like,
Yeah,
I look at most of my friends and they are out there working out harder than they ever have in their lives, which
yeah,
is just awesome.
yeah, yeah. Well, also, I mean, you don't have to beat yourself up, but you just got to be consistent. You just got to stay with it, and on that same note, I did a whole paper a report a few years ago called "The Ageless Brain," and all the research I did, every one of them, the people said exercise is the
Mhm.
very best thing to keep your brain functioning well.
Yep, I just did a talk at the Integrative Mental Medical Health Society, I think, or something.
Mhm.
Anyway, um, and it was a talk about mind over muscle, about how important exercise was, both for mental disorders like depression and bipolar, but
Yeah.
also for cognitive decline, dementia. Like it just, when you went across the board, every single thing, when you looked at it, it was like, oh, it was exercise versus antidepressants, exercise one. It was
Yeah.
exercise. It was like crazy.
Yeah.
So, the cool thing with exercise is for so many things, there's a risk reward. I mean, the risks for exercise are very low unless you're doing something crazy.
Yeah.
So the side benefits are insane, because it's going to help your main brain, it's going to help your body, it's going to help your bones, everything.
And you're gonna look and feel a lot better.
Yeah,
That
you look
that's
better.
the most look better and feel better. Okay, so well, the title of our segment today was "Muscles Changes Everything." So, talk a little bit about what exactly you mean by that, and then about the latest science on how muscle mass really impacts our health and our aging and all those things.
Early on when I was in graduate school, we were taught that you should not have someone lift weights until they lose the weight. The fortunate thing is I was also, while I was in graduate school, I was also training people at Gold's Gym in Venice. And what I
Mm,
saw there was, first of all, what always blew my mind is you just didn't see people who were over fat at Gold's Gym in Venice, right? You saw people out jogging who were, but not the people, right?
that's right.
So my focus has always been muscle first. Like the
Mhm.
first thing I want to do is start focusing on how to put more muscle on because it will change everything. When I first looked at it, it was like, how do I change your metabolism so that you stop struggling with weight loss? Because I knew if I put more muscle on, you'd have a better metabolism. It would hold everything in tighter, so you'd look better, but also it'd help you with insulin sensitivity and having a place for sugar to land. But then as I started to dig into it, I'm like, oh, muscle helps your immune system. Oh, muscle helps your bone. Oh, muscle helps your brain. And so when you really look at what you can do simply by contracting your muscles against force, right? It's crazy. Anything going on in your body basically improves when you start to do this. Maybe with the exception of, say, a broken bone. That would not improve. But
Yeah.
everything else, it's going to be better.
Yeah. Well, also, I mean, there's no question as we age, our we might lose a little bone mass, and we might lose a little structural integrity of our joints. So the best thing you can do is have good, strong muscles around you to protect your joints, and then you won't have that all that joint problem.
Right. Well, I look at them as kind of like your health savings account. I mean, ideally, we would start kids early in life doing all sorts of resistance training exercises that we
Hmm.
used to tell them, don't ever do that. It's like ridiculous. So
Yeah.
we'd start early. So we'd start building that bank account early, but also building the habit
Hmm.
early. And we'd pack on as much muscle as possible so that we have that later on in life. Now, I believe that you can maintain that. I did a DEXA at 39 and 59, and they were exactly the same. So
Wow.
I do not believe that we, lose muscle mass because we're aging. I think we're losing muscle mass because we're being we're being more sedentary. We're not working out hard enough. So I think that we can maintain a lot of this, but the more you have, the easier it will be because if you end up getting injured or getting sick and you have to go into bed rest, I mean, they did a bed rest study on young men. I think they were in their 20s, and they showed that in 2 weeks, they lost 4 pounds of muscle and they dropped their whole body insulin sensitivity by like 38%. It was insane. So that's the challenge is we have to be ready for those times when we do have to be sedentary, that maybe you get sick or get injured and you can't move.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm a testimony for that. I've had a knee injury from way back in playing football, and tore up my knee and now, for the last probably 20, 15 years, it's pretty much bone on bone. But I keep the muscle strong and it's still holding up for me. I don't want to have any kind of replacement or joint replacement. Just keep your muscle strong and you probably won't need that.
Yep, I had a similar thing. I finally had to do it 30 years later, just because it changed my back. It started to change everything in my body because of the difference in space. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I mean, I was able to put it off. The doctor's like, "How are you doing that?" I go, "Because everything else is really strong."
Hmm.
And I keep moving it, which keeps the blood flow,
Yeah.
right? Keeps
Yeah.
the nutrients to the joint. So that's important too.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, I do want to ask you when you say how muscle impacts. Uh, I guess you say it can reduce inflammation and improve your immunity. How does that work?
So there's muscles when they contract release myokines. This is like your body is creating its own pharmacy. And what's
Okay.
cool about that is it happens inside the muscle, next to the muscle, and all over the body. So your muscles are contracting and they are releasing things that help reduce inflammation, like IL-6. They're helping with fat burning. They're helping put stress on the bones. So they're releasing all these different types of chemicals that do everything from like better mood, better inflammation, lower inflammation, better immune system, like all sorts of crazy good things.
Mhm.
So it's made me think because we weren't taught about these myokines in grad school, and back
Right.
then the whole big thing was, well, when you're sick, should you exercise or not? And like my thought process now on when you're sick or injured and should you exercise is very different than it used to be.
Yeah.
Now it's like get your butt up as quickly as you possibly can and do some contraction as quickly as possible to get that
Right.
pharmacy going.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, okay. So, just a little bit about resistance training. How you say most people still aren't doing it right, and I know that that's true. 'Cause every time I go to the gym and I see people working out, I just go, "Oh my goodness," you know. Yeah. So, talk a little bit about what you think is. I mean, what is the proper way to use resistance training, and what's the minimum effective amount that people should be doing?
So, what you really want to do with resistance training is challenge your muscles so that they have to adapt and get stronger, which means you need to do more than what you're used to.
Hmm.
When as you age, use it or lose it. And again, whether it's happening because you're not using it or you're aging, I think it's more you're not using it. We
Hmm.
start to lose muscle size, but worse than that, 2 times more strength and 3 times more power. So muscle size is how big the muscle is. Muscle strength is how much you can move in one time, and muscle power is how fast you can do it.
Hmm.
When you improve size, you'll improve some strength and power, but they're really a little bit of different training. At the minimum, what I would have someone do is work. We used to say it was a very tight range for hypertrophy. We now know that you can do anywhere from 6 reps all the way up to like 30 and still build muscle. So if you want to go lighter, you go longer. If you want to go heavier, go shorter. But the big important thing is that at the end of each set, after your mobility and warm up stuff,
Hmm.
you should get to a point where you feel like you could maybe eke one more out. And that form's always your limiter. If you start to feel like your form's going, you stop. I find most people don't push themselves to that point.
Hmm.
Especially women, we back off a little bit sooner. Now, it's not going into bad form. Again, it's that point where your form would break, but really pushing yourself to that point where it's like, maybe you could get another one out. That's the important part of it. The minimum effective dose is 2 days a week
Hmm.
of in hitting your pushing, your pulling, and your hip and thigh hinging. I don't do separate core because I do core exercise in the way that I work out. And that's the way I like people to do it because in life we use our core. So if you're doing things like a squat, which is such a functional exercise we have to do all day, every day, from getting off the toilet, off chair, out of the car, a push up or an overhead press, and then something like a bent over row. So very things that mimic our activities of daily living that also pull our core in. And these are things you could do at home with some bands or free weights. That what's
Yeah.
important again is it could be body weight, it could be bands, it can be free weights, it can be machines. It just needs to be that you can get to that point where you feel like, you're really slowing down and your form's about to go. And so you need to quit. And I use speed kind of as one of my indicators because I like to train fast because then I can pull in some power. I don't believe in slow training. I think that's silly because in life, I don't want to go slow. If you train slow, you go slow. So I understand they're trying to increase more time under tension. I think just do more reps and keep the speed.
What do you think? I recently saw a study that they said that even one good a set of an exercise to failure can give you almost as good of results as doing multiple sets.
Especially if those multiple sets are not getting you there.
Yeah.
And you don't have to go all the way to failure. What they've seen is that quite often that keeps you from working out again that week. So that's why I say it's right to the edge. It's having that like, could I eke one more out? Now I will quite often get to that point because I try to push myself there, but it's getting super close to it. But if you don't get there, and I think that's where most people, what I see happening at the gym is people are phoning it in. They're just checking the box. And they're also spending most of their time doing very single joint or small group movements. So instead of doing things like a leg press or a lat pull down, they're doing a bicep curl and a calf raise. I'm like, let's work the biggest multi-joint
Yeah.
compound movements first. And then if you want to do some of those little vanity moves at the end, fine. But
Yeah.
that's not the key critical stuff. Do the big stuff.
Okay. Well, I know you have to go up here pretty soon. We're pretty much into the time. So what would you say to people who still aren't exercising very much, and even though they know they want to, what would you say to them to get them that can motivate them to begin to take action and realize that they can do it? You and I are being good
Mhm.
models for people. We're doing it, no matter what your age, no matter what their physical condition or what their age is. What would you tell them to get them going?
Honestly, I think the best thing someone could do is hire a trainer
Yeah.
who will charge you double if you don't show up. Like, back when I was a trainer, I kinda learned, I went, "Oh, I should charge double if they don't show up." Like, hire a trainer, pay more than what you can afford so that you actually will do it.
Yeah, if you
You
can, you're
know?
gonna do it, yeah.
Yeah, and even if you can only afford to hire the trainer to have them monitor you, like, once a week or once a month, they can check in to make sure you're doing what you need to do so that you get it going. That's the single best one is to get you into it, have someone help you get you there to start.
Yeah, just gotta get started, and
Yep.
once you stick with it for a few months, you'll have such great
I know, then you
results,
won't wanna stop.
you won't wanna stop, that's right, we don't wanna stop, right?
Mm-mm.
No.
Mm-mm.
Well, I guess you gotta go, JJ. I just it's so much fun having you here. We'll have to have me back again, talk about some I had a whole bunch more questions and things I'd like to go over, but, uh, again, just thanks so much for being here, and, thanks for all the work that you're doing.
Alright, thank you. See ya.
Thank you, JJ. Take care.
Bye.